You guys met in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And were you doing comedy separately before you?
No.
No?
We were doing.
We were doing other things. He was running from the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was trying to get into the draft.
Really?
I was actually, I was a part of the draft resistance movement, and so then they came after me, and so I was in Canada, and I was making pottery. I was a potter, and very seriously, and
A Mexican potter. What are the
about
odds?
that? What are the odds? And then I made it to Vancouver, where he was running an improvisational theater company in a strip bar.
Okay, yeah.
And that was so much fun, you can't believe.
I bet. That sounds like a good time.
I had parents like you know, my parents went along with whatever I could dream up. And we had a couple of nightclubs up there, you know, that my brother and my parents kind of ran while I was on the road. And then one of them was a strip club. But the strip show was kind of boring, and nobody looked at the girls. They're up there, you know, wiggling around, taking off their clothes. Everybody sitting around the bar drinking, looking at each other, talking, you know, and no one was paying attention. And so I thought, well, and I'd just seen Second City, and so and the committee. So I had this idea of putting improvisational comedy with the girls. And so the girls, instead of pretending to take off their clothes, they really took off their clothes.
Yeah.
And you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Cheech, we had a straight man that his wife thought he was in
a theater group.
Real theater. Theatrical. And in fact, the theatrical movement in Vancouver got wind that what we were doing, and the crowd became very theatrical. And so we had real actors working with us, and I had this one actor, a straight guy, who his wife didn't know, you know, they were kind of snotty, you know, and the wife didn't know what he was doing. And then the paper came down, and we were such a success, they took pictures of him with girls' titties on either side of his head.
Nice.
His wife caught on real quick. Yeah. She
literally took him by the ear and let him out of the club.
Amazing.
And so then a mutual friend of ours said he knew Cheech was working for him. He was Ihor Torduk.
Todruk.
Yeah, Ihor. Russian, right?
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian. Anyway, he told me about Cheech. And so then I went out to Richmond, met Cheech, and then Cheech kind of looked at me like, what is this? And I looked at him, you know, what is that?
We're both at the same time, well, what are you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, are you Mongolian, biker? What?
That's amazing.
Cheech looked like a little Mooney, you know, he had a little sweater on and short hair. And
it's amazing, and a source of pride for me that Cheech and Chong were born in Canada.
Yeah.
Look at that.
We weren't born, he was born in Canada.
I mean, the duo came together, and the concept was born there.
We had that improv group for 9 months.
You guys wrote all your movies together. Was that must have been just a blast doing that?
It was funny, you know, because we're like jazz musicians. We just take a basic structure and the chord changes, and then, okay, play it at this speed, you know, and then we just make it up but in the framework of the tune. So that's what we do. We come up with kind of a very spare storyline, and then put on bits.
I just did a bit on the Millers.
Yeah.
And you can see our influence of how we did our comedy, because what they do, they'll do a scene, and then they'll gather everybody in, and they'll change it all. They'll change everything.
Yeah.
Okay, this is you say this, you do that, you do. That's the way we used to.
It was just so much of it was improvised.
All of it.
It's because we were working all the time. We worked every day, or we were on the road, or in the studio, or something. So it was not like we had to get it and make a blueprint to hand it to somebody else to make. You know, we made it, so it was changing every day as we did it, because we never stopped doing it.
We'd be driving to the gig and we go, oh, I got an idea. And
or the driver would say something funny, we incorporated it in there.
How much touring was there when you first had the comedy records come out? Were you just touring constantly? That was.
Yeah, no, so we'd go over 300 days a year.
Yeah, because we were talking, we were listening to one of the comedy records here when, and just talking about how, you know, before HBO, vinyl records, this was, you know, where people got comedy records. You had the #1 selling comedy record of all time, and this was sort of as big as it got, right? You in the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, you guys were massive rock stars
It
and,
was amazing. It was amazing.
They
We were the
even won a
ones.
Grammy.
We won a Grammy. Yeah.
and nominated multiple times for multiple Grammys. When you go back to those times, did you just sort of relive those sometimes, or was it?
We were responsible for taking the comedy thing off television. Because as soon as we got nominated, Ed Sullivan tried to pronounce her name, and he was such a drunk he couldn't say cheek. He'd say chi, and the nomination for comedy album chi, chi and Chen. What was it?
Yeah, Cheech Chong.
Sheesh.
And Peppo Zizio.
And so then they told the Academy figured out what we represented.
Yeah.
And so then after that, we were like, just a little, oh, by the way, the best comedy album, Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
It went by in such a blur, though. I mean, because we were always either on tour, recording, we'd come home to get an operation for something. and then
Any
back-
other reasons it might have been a blur?
Well, yeah. The funny thing is that everybody has this image of us and those characters on tour, but we were like health addicts. We belonged to the YMCA, and every town we'd go to, we'd check in, we'd leave our bags in the
And
room.
see
go-
what was happening at the
At the
YMCA.
we would love to eat at the Y.
And that was legal. Oh, my God.
And then, but every town we went to, we checked into the Y and worked out all day, and then did the show.
Yeah.
I got hit on by a gay guy at the Y one time. And I was really shocked.
Television, I'm going,
I was really shocked until he reached in his locker and pulled out a real thick pair of glasses. Then he put them on and goes, oh, never mind.
oh, I thought he was going to explain. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. I wasn't going to ask you about that, but it looked like you guys were working out in those
Yeah.
movies because you're always running around with your shirts off, and you guys looked kind of like you were pretty.
Yeah, we were in shape.
Yeah,
we,
in
we,
shape.
We did because we worked out every day. In comparison to other rock bands that sit in the hotel room and never get out, do dope all day and stay up all night, we stayed healthy. And
Nice.
that's the only we could
Worked
do.
out. Yeah. In fact, we looked so much our character. We looked like gangsters.
Yeah.
We really did. With the long hair, the headbands, Mexican. And so Johnny Carson, we did the Grammys. I mean the Academy Award. We presented the best
Something or other.
special effects.
Yeah.
And we ended up on a balcony with Johnny Carson. And I swear to God, he's kind of shaking in his voice. He's
Really?
kind of looking at Cheech and Chong, because it would have been a perfect place to mug him.
Yeah, sure.
And it would be a good bit, too.
He
Johnny
carries
Carson
cash,
got mugged by Cheech and Chong.